We all deal with stress, right? But what if there was a way to actually retrain your brain to react to it differently?
I like that retrain.
I know you're into that whole brain science thing, so I was hoping you could help me unpack this PDF someone sent over called Focus on the Positive and Practice Gratitude to Overcome Stress.
Sounds right up my alley.
Let's dive in.
We often talk about stress as if it's this external force, some monster out to get us.
Totally, like it's something that just happens to us.
Yeah, but this PDF gets at something really interesting, the idea that the way we react to stress is largely internal.
Oh, so it's more about our mindset.
Exactly. It's about understanding that we have more control than we think.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So if we can shift our mindset, we can change how we experience stress.
That's the idea. And it all starts with understanding how our brains are wired.
Hit me with the brain science.
Well, you see, from an evolutionary perspective, our brains develop this thing called a negativity bias.
Negativity bias. That sounds kind of ominous.
It makes sense, though. Back in the caveman days, our ancestors needed to be hyper-aware of potential threats.
Yeah, so they could avoid being eaten by a saber-toothed tiger or something.
Right. So this negativity bias helped them survive.
But how does that play out in our modern lives? I mean, I'm not exactly dodging predators on my way to work.
That's the thing. Nowadays, that same negativity bias can cause us to overreact to everyday stressors.
So, like, my brain is still stuck in fight or flight mode, even when I'm just dealing with traffic jams and deadlines.
Precisely.
But there's got to be a way to override that ancient wiring, right?
Well, the good news is that our brains are constantly changing and adapting. That's neuroplasticity at work.
Okay, so we're not stuck with this negativity bias forever.
Nope. We can actually train our brains to be less reactive to those everyday stressors and more focused on the positive.
So how do we do that? The PDF mentions the power of positivity, and I'm curious to know more about that.
Positivity isn't about ignoring problems or pretending everything is perfect.
Right, I was going to say, it's not about being naive or unrealistic.
No, it's about recognizing that we have a choice in how we perceive and respond to events.
Okay, so how do we actually train our brains to be more positive?
Yeah.
I think the PDF used this mental muscle analogy.
I love that analogy.
Me too. It feels really tangible.
Think of it this way. The more we practice focusing on the positive, the stronger that muscle becomes.
So the more we flex our positivity muscle, the better we get at it, just like any other skill.
Exactly. And the research shows that this can have a real impact on our well-being. It helps build resilience, improve stress management.
So it's not just about feeling good, it's about equipping ourselves to handle life's challenges more effectively.
That's a great way to put it. And that's where gratitude comes in, which is a big theme in this PDF.
Okay, yeah, gratitude. We've all heard about gratitude journals and things like that.
But it's so much more than just saying thank you or making a list.
It's about a deeper shift in mindset.
Exactly. It's about cultivating this appreciation for the good things in our lives.
No matter how small, right?
I think that's key, because sometimes we overlook those little things that bring us joy.
So what's the science behind gratitude? I mean, how does it actually work to reduce stress?
Well, the PDF mentions that gratitude can lower cortisol levels.
Cortisol, that's the stress hormone, right?
That's the one. And the studies have shown that people who practice gratitude regularly tend to have lower levels of cortisol.
Which means they're better able to cope with stress.
And not just that, they also report higher levels of happiness and life satisfaction.
Okay, so we're talking about real, measurable benefits, not just some vague sense of well-being.
Exactly.
So imagine facing that frustrating commute with a calmer, clearer head because you've been practicing gratitude.
Right. It's about building that inner resilience so we can navigate life's ups and downs with more grace.
Okay, I'm sold on the benefits, but how do we actually put this into practice? I'm ready to start training my positivity muscle and reaping those gratitude benefits.
Well, the PDF outlines some great techniques.
Lay it on me. I'm ready to take notes.
One of the simplest and perhaps most effective is keeping a gratitude journal.
Okay, tell me everything about the gratitude journal.
It's so easy. Just take a few minutes each day to jot down 3 things you're grateful for.
And they don't have to be big things.
Nope. It could be something as simple as a delicious cup of coffee, a sunny day, a kind gesture from a stranger.
Okay, I like that.
It's about noticing those little moments of joy that we often take for granted.
But does it really work? Just writing things down?
It's pretty fascinating. The act of writing things down actually helps to solidify those positive thoughts in our minds.
So we're training our brains to scan for the good.
That's the idea.
I love that. Okay, so we've talked about the negativity bias and the power of positivity and gratitude. Now let's explore how these gratitude practices can actually change our brains.
Sounds like a plan. Let's dive in.
Okay, so we're really digging into these gratitude journals, but
Yeah.
what if someone's not really into journaling? Are there other ways to kind of work this gratitude practice into their life?
Oh, tons. So many ways.
Okay, good, because I'm more of a, like, bullet point kind of gal. I don't do a lot of long-form writing.
I hear ya. Well, for example, have you ever heard of a gratitude jar?
Oh, yeah. Like where you write down good things on little pieces of paper
Exactly.
and toss them in a jar.
Got it. Throughout the week, you just jot down things you're grateful for, big or small, and then at the end of the week,
You get to open it up and relive all those good vibes.
right, like a little treasure chest of happiness.
I love that. Okay, so gratitude jars, check.
Yeah.
What else does the PDF recommend?
Well, it also talks about this idea of reframing negative thoughts.
Reframing. Okay, I'm listening.
They use this example of being stuck in traffic.
Oh, the classic traffic jam. We've all been there.
Tell me about it. And it's so easy to just get totally frustrated.
Right. My blood pressure starts rising just thinking about it.
But what if, instead of fuming about the delay, we use that time to practice gratitude?
Wait, I'm supposed to be grateful when I'm stuck in traffic. How
Yeah.
does that work?
Think about it. You could be grateful that you have a car to begin with, or that you're safe and sound inside it.
True.
You could even be grateful that you have a few minutes of peace and quiet to yourself.
Okay, I see where you're going with this.
It's about choosing to focus on the silver lining, even in those less than ideal situations.
So we're not denying the negative, we're just choosing to shift our perspective.
Exactly. And that can make a huge difference in how we experience those everyday annoyances.
This is starting to make a lot of sense.
Right. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about choosing where we focus our attention.
Okay, so we've covered gratitude journals, gratitude jars, reframing negative thoughts. Anything else? I'm starting to feel pretty empowered here.
Well, this PDF also touches on mindfulness.
Oh, mindfulness.
Yeah.
Okay, full disclosure. I've tried meditation before and I
Didn't get into it.
could not quiet my mind. It
Yeah.
felt impossible. Are there other ways to practice mindfulness that don't involve, like, sitting in complete silence?
You're not alone. A lot of people struggle with traditional meditation. But the good news is that mindfulness doesn't have to be this big, formal thing.
Okay, good.
It can be incorporated into everyday activities.
Really? Like how?
Well, for instance, when you're eating, try to really savor each bite. Pay attention to the flavors, the textures, the aroma.
Slow down and actually enjoy my food. Revolutionary.
Right. Or when you're taking a walk, really focus on the sensations of your feet on the ground, the breeze on your skin, the sounds around you.
So it's about being present in the moment,
Mm-hmm.
not letting your mind race ahead to the next thing on your to-do list.
Exactly. And the more we practice this, the more we start to notice those small, beautiful details that we often miss when we're caught up in our thoughts.
I like that. It's like training yourself to appreciate the little things.
And when you start to appreciate the little things, you start to feel more grateful for all of it.
Okay, I'm seeing how all these techniques are connected. Gratitude, reframing, mindfulness. It's all about shifting our perspective and finding more peace and joy in the present moment.
You got it. And the beauty of it is that you can adapt these practices to fit your own preferences and lifestyle.
So there's no right or wrong way to do it.
As long as you're making that conscious effort to cultivate more positivity and gratitude in your life, that's what matters.
This is great. I'm feeling really inspired. But what about those times when we're really struggling? When it feels like we're drowning in stress and negativity?
That's when these practices become even more important.
Okay, so it's like having a toolkit to help us manage those difficult emotions.
I like that analogy. So if you find yourself spiraling into negativity, you can reach for one of these tools.
Whether it's gratitude, reframing, mindfulness, whatever works for you.
Exactly. And remember, it's a practice, not a destination.
Right, it's not about being perfect all the time.
It's about showing up for yourself, even when it's hard, and making that conscious choice to cultivate more positivity and gratitude in your life.
You know, what's really inspiring is that the PDF includes an anecdote about a person who used gratitude journaling to get through a really tough time.
Oh yeah, that one was powerful. It shows how these practices can make a real difference in people's lives.
And I think it's important to remember that these aren't just abstract concepts. They're tools that can help us navigate real-life challenges.
Totally. They're not just for, like, self-help gurus or something. They're for everyone.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot in this deep dive. Gratitude, reframing, mindfulness. Before we wrap up this part, any last thoughts on how to actually make these practices stick?
I think one of the biggest challenges is remembering to actually do them.
Ugh, so true.
Ugh.
It's easy to get caught up in the daily grind and let these things slip.
Right. So I think one helpful strategy is to link these practices to an existing habit.
Like what? Give me an example.
So let's say you brush your teeth every morning and every night. Right.
Of course.
Well, while you're brushing your teeth, you could think of 3 things you're grateful for.
Oh, I like that. Multitasking for the win.
Exactly. Or while you're waiting for your coffee to brew, you could do a quick mindfulness exercise.
Okay, I can totally see myself doing that.
The idea is to make these practices part of your routine so they become more automatic.
Instead of this extra thing you have to remember to do.
Right. And over time, those small, consistent efforts can lead to big changes in your well-being.
Okay, so small steps, consistency, linked to existing habits. I'm writing all this down. This has been so helpful.
Glad to hear it.
You know, this whole deep dive has really got me thinking differently. We've gone deep into the science. We've explored practical tips. We've even heard about people who've used these tools to overcome real challenges.
I love these conversations. They always make me think too.
Me too. All right, before we jump into the final part of this episode, is there anything else from the PDF that you think we should highlight?
Yeah, one thing I keep coming back to is that this whole journey of cultivating positivity and gratitude, it's ongoing, right?
It's not like you reach some magical state of enlightenment and then you're done.
Exactly. It's a practice, not a destination.
So there will be days when it feels easy, and there will be days when it takes more effort.
Absolutely, and that's okay. The key is to keep showing up for yourself, even when it's hard, and making that conscious choice to focus on the good.
I love that. Keep showing up, even when it's hard. All right, listeners, we're about to wrap up part 2 of our deep dive into positivity and gratitude. We'll be right back with the final part of this episode, so stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. We've been talking all about positivity and gratitude,
Yeah, exploring all the cool science behind it.
and how we can actually use these practices to manage stress better and live happier lives.
And you know what I think is so cool? There's still so much more to uncover. We've just scratched the surface here.
I know, right? Like this whole world of possibilities just opened up.
Exactly. A whole toolbox for managing stress, boosting happiness, making life feel more fulfilling.
And the best part is that these tools are available to everyone.
You don't need any fancy training or equipment.
It's all about making that conscious choice to shift your perspective.
Exactly. And remember, it's a practice.
Some days will be easier than others.
Oh, for sure. But the key is to keep showing up, even when it feels challenging.
You know, something that really struck me in this PDF is how high achievers in all sorts of fields, they use these very techniques.
It's true. Like athletes use visualization and positive self-talk to up their game.
And entrepreneurs cultivate a growth mindset to overcome setbacks.
It's pretty fascinating. These principles, they're woven into success across so many different areas,
It's like a secret weapon, right?
hiding in plain sight. And it's something we can all tap into.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you really hope our listeners take away from all of this?
I'd say this: don't underestimate the power of small actions consistently.
Whether it's gratitude journaling, reframing thoughts, or just taking a few minutes to be mindful.
Those little efforts, they can make a huge difference over time.
It's like we don't need to completely overhaul our lives to feel the benefits.
Right, start small, experiment, find what works for you,
And remember, it's a journey.
not a destination. Be patient with yourself, celebrate your progress, and keep exploring.
Love that. Okay, I think we've given our listeners plenty to think about today.
Definitely lots to chew on.
But before we go, I want to issue a little challenge.
Ooh, a challenge. I'm in.
All right, so pick one technique from this episode that really resonated with you.
Could be anything: gratitude journaling, reframing, mindfulness, whatever sparked your interest.
And commit to doing it for 1 week.
Just 1 week, see what happens.
Pay attention to how it makes you feel. Notice any shifts in your mood, your energy, your stress levels.
You might be surprised.
I think so too. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the power of positivity and gratitude.
Hope you enjoyed it.
And we hope it inspired you to start cultivating more positivity and gratitude in your own life.
Until next time, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep diving deep.
Bye, everyone.